Hi, this is Matthew and welcome to my second review on this channel. Today we will be reviewing the Modestep Remixes EP that has just been released on Disciple. We've not had a Modestep EP in a bit of time now, and I don't think that this was a good EP. I think it was definitely worse. Anyway, let's get into it. First song on this EP was The Fallout RIOT 10 remix. I had very low hopes for this track, but my god. Let's start with the intro. There's nothing really wrong with the intro itself, but when it gets into the build-up, it's a very generic snare build-up. It sounds like he's probably just put it in because he needed a build-up but didn't have time to make it good. When we get into the drop, it's the same RIOT 10 generic sound design that we've heard all before. I know that he could do better if he tried. It's as if he knows that that method works, so he won't try anything else because he's afraid of doing something creative. The drums are very simple. There's no differentiating with them. It's just very simple. There's nothing really to spice up the drums. Again, with the generic build-up in the second half, that leads me on to the beginning of the second drop. It's even worse. I don't know what he was trying to do at the beginning, but it sounded trash. And then he just does the first drop again after that bit, because copy and paste works. The second song on this EP was the Psycho, the ECRAZE and Graphyt remix. It's definitely better than the RIOT 10 one. I personally have nothing against the intro and build-up. It's the drop. It's an okay drop, but I just feel like it doesn't really fit well with the intro and the build-up. If the drop was played to me by itself, I would really enjoy it, but it's with the other tune, it doesn't quite sit with me. The second half of the drop is lacking in impact a bit, but I still don't feel like it takes me out of the drop. There's a switch up in the second drop from the first, but it's not massive. Overall, not a bad track. And that brings me on to the Blood Code Pandorum remix. This is the perfect track that shows us it doesn't have to be heavy to be good. There's a very dark atmosphere right from the get-go. And when you get to the drop, it's just a really stompy, slow drop, and I love it. The switch up in the second half of the first drop is brilliant. The only thing that doesn't sit well with me is the track when it suddenly cuts off from the drop. And it's very jarring. The second drop is amazing. It just shows what Code Pandorum is capable of. And this is definitely my favourite from all the EP. The final track of this EP is the definitive remix of The Beginning. It's a very fast-paced D&B song to just vibe to on a summer's day. It's the longest track of the EP, which is apparent because he spends 1 minute and 5 seconds on an intro and build-up. It already shows the pattern that the basses take in the build-up, but when we get to the drop, we are not disappointed. It's a very bouncy, head-boppy D&B tune. It's quite generic, for one, but I think it's executed perfectly. The drops drag on slightly, but only slightly, and then it switches up before it gets boring. My only problem with this remix, though, it doesn't change in the second drop. It should have changed in the second drop, and that is why the tune is not at the top spot for me. On to the conclusion. The only track that I really love on this EP is the Code Pandorum remix, and I think that one is the most creative and experimental. My least favourite would have to be the RIOT 10 one. Overall, this EP deserves a 5.5 out of 10, I think. Don't forget to like this video, there will be more on the way, so if you want to subscribe, see you next time.